You read that right. While it was short and sweet compared to the multi-day conventions and multi-hour presentations we got in the past, I firmly believe CitizenCon Direct 2955 was the best CitCon we've had so far, and I think you're going to agree when we get into why. So let's get started. This is University of Stanton. Class is in session. CitizenCon changed this year. Just over 2 hours long, it was online only, freeing up time and brain space for the development team to stress less about public speaking under the bright lights and stay on task pushing out the increasingly rapid feature and content releases. It's important to set that context for the rest of this, with Chris Roberts bringing it up himself in the opening.
Having moved past this last big technological hurdle has allowed us to finally focus on quality of life and stability improvements, something that has long been overdue. We're about to deliver our 9th patch in 10 months, with content that has brought Star Citizen storytelling into new and exciting directions. We pushed more than 24 features and more than 2,000 bug fixes.
It's also important to note that some things you'd normally see at CitizenCon got no mention at all, for another reason I'll get into in a moment. To recap the presentation very quickly, many of you have probably seen this already, we got a look at Nyx as the next star system coming to live next month, Genesis Planet Tech changing the face of the ground starting with Nyx 1 in 2026, Levski returning to Nyx as a base from which to mine massive asteroid mineral reserves and a crazy new rock cracker sandbox event next year, crafting for personal FPS gear coming to tech preview by the end of 2025, including material quality, which will affect item quality, instancing to allow for curating difficulty of certain events like the return of Siege of Orison next year, tactical strike groups, which are essentially a combined arms raid involving all levels of fighters, capitals, and FPS, cross-system hauling missions, and 3 new ships, the Anvil Paladin, Grey Market Shiv, and Vandul Stinger. CitCon Direct lacked the grandiose scale of previous CitCons, so what do I think is so great about this? The answer is in the change of tone and the speed of content release. Previous cons were massive info dumps, but they were distant and even speculative looks ahead at a future full of things CIG might do if and when they have the time while working around Squadron 42, whereas at this year's con, everything was about what's coming imminently. With 2025's patch release schedule and CitCon Direct, we're being weaned off of sugary copium and placed on a higher protein diet of "this is happening." They didn't talk about a single thing coming any later than the end of next year, and they started with massive new additions coming next month. At long last, this is the behavior of a studio running a live service game, not hand-waving dreamers vaguely pitching a Kickstarter, and this comes after an entire year of rapid, content-filled updates released on a consistent schedule as proof of the new direction. They've showed us, rather than just telling us, what the path ahead is going to look like. What we saw this past weekend was within reach. That, I feel, sets this CitizenCon apart from others and makes it the best one yet. We should also highlight a few things they didn't mention but have some important context. The big one, of course, was that Squadron 42 didn't come up this year at all, except in passing with what we already know, that assets and features from Squadron are already gradually coming to Star Citizen. With last year's feature-complete celebration and gameplay demonstration, there's really nothing else worth saying about Squadron until it launches. I believe this is good because it also reflects Squadron developers now being focused hard on Star Citizen itself, which, again, this year has shown us. Second not showcased was engineering, a crucial piece of the ship balancing process and the gateway to true multi-crew gameplay. I even just noticed a little while ago Jared replied to someone about this on X, mentioning, "We've done 2 CitizenCons and 3 ISCs on engineering, I'd say it's been covered. Now we just need to get it out." I don't think it's far away, and engineering's implications for gameplay are, in my opinion, one of the most exciting and disruptive things about to happen to us. Third, despite it being widely requested, there was no mention of social, party, or org features that they talked about in detail last year. However, if you have more than 250 friends in your list, you may have noticed last month that the game started giving us trouble displaying all of them, even when we know they're online. Spectrum appears to work fine, your friends are not in fact missing. Now, this is a pain in the ass and it's something that needs to be fixed, but it suggests to me that there's work in progress under the hood on this entire feature set. And it's further suggested by the fact that in the next patch, we're also getting colored party markers back, along with improved PDC logic that won't target your party members. My prediction is that there's an early version of these tools on the horizon. Fourth, and certainly not least, is base building, and I don't think there's anyone who wasn't disappointed at its absence, but we already know that base building is contingent on crafting, and we know that should be here by the end of the year. Many have understandably showed concern with the concept of instancing arriving to the game. We've known this was coming since at least last year, and while it is an important technical step towards dynamic server meshing, and I would wager continued increases to server player count, instancing of content or events has some players hesitant, as in some forms it can be antithetical to what a sandbox means in other games. But Star Citizen is not other games. In its ultimate iteration will be in single region-sized servers of multiple thousands of players, not pre-sharded into the current 700-player instances of the verse we have now. It's worth pointing out, by the way, that that's actually pretty incredible. Most other survival sandbox games are locked into the 50 to 100 player model, or raid maps covering a smaller space, and in the context of MMOs, there is a rich history to draw from of instancing both being used in limited ways to enhance the game experience, and examples of it being misused to serve as cautionary tales. Most of those tales are from the early 2000s, and developers have learned their lessons from them. But limited use is explicitly how CIG has described their intentions on implementing instancing tech. Their main focus is using it to curate certain experiences, limiting the number of players, or perhaps equipment or ships for example, that can be used against a certain challenge. This is a healthy part of balancing certain content. A boss fight tuned for 4 players cooperation can't be much of a challenge when you zerg it with 30. As Benoit put it himself here in the presentation,
there's a beginning and an end. It doesn't mean that that doesn't fit in our overworld strategy, meaning getting to the instance is dangerous, exiting the instance is dangerous, or can be interfered with others.
This means no one is simply free to waltz in and out of instances without some kind of backup and the potential for conflict. This in itself preserves the sandbox nature of the overall game entirely, and I feel like many people railing against it might have missed this important context. But you don't have to take my word for that. EVE Online, the quintessential open-world space sandbox, has used instancing and size or loadout restricted pocket zones to incredible effect for over 2 decades, and has remained one of the most impressive large-scale PvP-driven sandboxes in the world. PvP instances were briefly mentioned with no specifics, but I suspect great potential for instancing existing PvP content like the contested zones. How many times have you looked for a low population server to get an easy run through a CZ for loot? Be honest. Directing CZ entrances into shared spaces based on number of players in each, ensuring that player encounters are a possibility no matter which server or region you enter from, sounds like an improvement. Much of the hysteria about instancing that I've seen so far seems to either be uninformed or just disregards the announced plan entirely, driven by an irrational fear of Bob's farming instance loot with impunity. But none of these people have ever batted an eye at the game's long-term plan, where some of these preferred targets will just sequester themselves away in high-security systems anyway. In short, the instancing plan is not going to change much about Star Citizen's sandbox nature, unless there's a wild swing in CIG's intentions, and if that happens, by all means, get on Spectrum and set him straight. But for now, this is worth letting him cook, and not worth worrying ourselves to death about. There's more I could cover here, and might if you want to leave your ideas in the comments. At the moment, I'm hard at work on a guide to capital ship combat, which is becoming more and more important every time the Idris sells out on the Pledge store. So don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and drop by the University of Stanton Discord if you ever need help answering your Star Citizen questions. As usual, thanks once again to our great Patreon and YouTube members who help support the channel. Thanks for watching. This is University of Stanton. Class dismissed.